All right. Holy shit. We're back.
What year is this?
I don't know
Am
anymore.
I still in college? Am I still in college?
No.
Oh
I'm,
no.
yeah,
You gotta go back.
I want to go back. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah, I do.
it's been
Me
a
too.
long time. It's been over 5 years or
It's
almost
been
5 years since we've
almost
done
6
this.
years.
Oh
Almost
my
6
God.
years.
But listen, if you're watching this and you somehow remember this from 2014, thank you, because welcome back. This is the Going Five Hole podcast. We're back.
It's been a long time coming.
Episode 1 of the reboot. This
Oof.
totally isn't happening because we've been stuck in our homes for 3 months.
No, we were planning this. We were plotting our moves for 5 years.
We said, hey, it would be a great idea if we stopped doing this for 5 years. And then when we all have more responsibility and more adult things to do, that's when we find the time to do this.
I think the last time we did this, I'd have to say you were like 80 pounds heavier. I had a lot more hair on the top of my head. We both were unemployed, mind you. We both did not have jobs. But more importantly, you got married. And there's a child on the way now? What?
Hence my first statement of, wow, man, times were simpler back then.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, I was your best man in your wedding, and I honestly don't know if that is the case without this podcast. I really don't know.
Probably not. We literally started this as we both had nothing to do. Then it went into the summer of 14, which was our fun employment summer.
The Mike and Dennis bender that would just be
like we could do the same thing now. It's just we have money to do things.
That's true. I mean, there's been a few trips to Boston in between. There's been a couple of hockey games, and we actually paid money for them instead of going to Albany to watch the Albany Devils play the Utica Comets for like $6.
Rest in peace, Albany Devils, even though nobody cares.
No, literally nobody cares. But hey, man, it's been crazy, man. I mean, I have a mustache now, and this has been, I think, something we wanted to do for a while, but it's just now that we have the time, I think we can actually do
it.
I
mean, we can find it. Whatever, we'll figure it out. We'll find an hour. So I guess as we could just spend 3 hours discussing 6 years of our lives, but who wants to?
We're going to wrap up 6 years of hockey in an hour.
Yeah. Oh,
go.
No.
Rangers didn't win. Moving on now.
Done. But so hockey's on its way back. I mean, I don't need to discuss why. It's kind of obvious, but hockey should be on its way back. I mean, what is it today? We're recording this on June 6th, so things can always change, but we'll just get into what we're looking at when we come back. So what we're looking at is a 24-team playoff format. The top 4 seeds in each conference automatically are in. I'll call it the proper playoffs. The top 4 are automatically in the proper playoffs, and then that leaves 5 through 12. Did I get that right? Yeah, teams 5 through 12 in each conference.
The playing round. Yeah,
exactly. So you're looking at 5 plays 12, 6 plays 11, 7, 10, 8, 9.
Yeah.
So best of 5. It's exciting, and I mean, for me. It's coming from just play like it's. I get it. It's difficult to play the rest of your season, especially when you're trying. You can't really have travel. You can't It's just they don't even know where they're going to be. They're trying to figure out the hub cities.
Hub city, right? Exactly.
Which and I think they want 2, and it's going to be tough because Orlando's taken for. You figure the NBA is going to be there, so I feel like you should just take Florida out. You're going to stay in Tampa.
I think Vegas is the one they're throwing around. That's the one I'm hearing the most.
I feel like that's tough because if they open that up with all those people are going to flock there, I think you're asking for it. I hate to say them. I hate to say you got to go to like some smaller town, but like Columbus, Ohio, or like
Cleveland, Ohio. Just Ohio.
Again. But like, I don't want to talk about the logistics of it all day. But it's
because we were just talking before we came on. I mean, I don't even understand half of it. I mean, let me ask you this: in contrast to the stomping and pouting Carolina Hurricanes, do you like it? Do you like the idea? Do you like? I don't know.
I understand why teams might be pissed if you're the fifth seed. And now, granted, I mean, other
but
years are
there's 2
different.
points separating the Rangers and the Hurricanes.
That's what I was going to say. Like Carolina is the 6th seed, and they could they already did. They whined and cried about, well, we're the 6th seed and we might have had a better chance. It's like, okay, yeah. Like maybe in other years, if there was this like 10-point gap and you only had a team competing for 8th, sure, right. I'd see the point. I think this year it just works out a little better that the teams are closer, so it's a little more fair. But I get it. Especially when you had teams with games in hand. You had some teams that were only at 68 games. Some teams were at 70.
I think the Rangers had like 2 games in hand or something.
Right.
I thought they had games in hand. Don't quote me on that, but I think they did.
Yeah.
But listen, I like it because I think it's fair enough. And it's unprecedented at times. I mean, everybody can harp on and like I said, like we say when we do the football podcast, I don't want this to become the coronavirus, hockey podcast. No, it is the factor as to why, hey, there's going to be a playing round this year. And to be honest, I think hockey was on top of it. They said, listen, this is kind of what we have to do. We're going to try to make it as fair as possible. The playing rounds are only 5 games as opposed to 7 because I don't think you could do 7-game series for the playing rounds because it would just take even longer.
And I think 5 is fair. I think best of 3 is too few. Like one bad game, you're done essentially.
But you look at it this way: anything could happen.
Right.
I mean, anything could happen, and everybody, no matter what's going to happen, I think everybody this year is going to go, well, there's an asterisk on that Stanley Cup because it's not the right way. But Don Cherry was still around, not sitting in his retirement home going crazy. I think he would be like, well, that's not fair. But I actually don't mind it. This is not even just being a Rangers fan having a chance. You know what I mean? Now I think just if the Rangers weren't even in it, I'd say, I think it's just not plausible to play out like the 10 to 12 games that each team had. I think you're already looking at something that starts in July. You're not going to have a Stanley Cup winner till October at that rate. At the least, and then you figure because then you have to worry about next season too. Next season, what's going to bleed in, because there's in the CBA they need X amount of time off, and in their agreements they have to. So
and I think this was the best. Me personally, knowing the situation, for me, no, I don't want this to become like the new thing where you start having 24 teams make the playoffs and you do this I don't want this set up ever again.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I don't want this to be the new normal, so to speak. It's just, this is an exigent circumstance.
Yeah. It's a one-time thing.
Do this. Yeah.
And you look at, you just every league is doing it. Freaking Major League Soccer had an entire season to play, and they're looking at they're going to play some tournament. If you don't think that's an even worse situation.
Any money at this point is good money for these leagues. And then I think hockey's trying to capitalize on being the first ones back, because whatever league is the first one back the interest in that is going to be insane.
Right.
That's why I think, unrelated, but baseball's really dropping the ball here because this is supposed to be their season.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the hockey's you gotta get back.
And I've said my thing with baseball. It's it's shitty, but you gotta play. But hockey's gonna play, so it's fine.
Good.
But I mean, different circumstance. You're talking about getting the playoffs done, but I think this is the best case scenario. I think it wouldn't have been fair to have all 31 teams involved because you just had some bad teams.
Yeah,
but this is
bad teams.
Right. This is the way to do it. But I mean, you also and I know they're doing the standings by point percentage and stuff, but it's I get it that some teams might move around, but you look at the Rangers had 70 games. I get Carolina's gripe. You had 2 games in hand, but you'd only widen the gap to 6 points, even if you won those
Yeah, but you can even look at a team like Columbus. They've got 30. They have 33 wins, but look how many loser points they have.
Right.
I mean, even that, but everybody's fine with that. I mean, not everybody's fine with that, but then you look at that, and then Carolina's well, I have this point in hands. The Rangers have 2 more wins. The Rangers have
37 wins.
37 wins to Columbus's 33.
And Columbus has 15 OT points, and the Rangers have 10 less.
So right. Exactly. So you can't. That's also calling the kettle black there. You know what I mean? That's. Mm-hmm. I don't like that rule. I really don't. But that's a totally different topic. But I would like to say, before we start talking about the playoff matchups, let's talk about the teams quickly.
The teams that didn't get in.
Didn't make it in. So now I'm going to start with one team here, and I'm just looking at them. You had 3 teams from the Western Conference, and you had 4 teams from the Eastern Conference. Now, every team made it in from the Metro Division except for one.
Oh, gee, who could that be?
Ooh, the off-season champion, New Jersey Devils.
But how?
I mean,
but how?
Stanley Cups are not won in the offseason. As I was slammed. I thought Nikita Gusev was going to be the key.
You didn't think you didn't think Jack Hughes was going to have like a record-setting rookie year, or the Wayne Simmons acquisition was going to put him over the top?
Who's not even on the team anymore?
PK, PK Subban,
18-point PK Subban for $9 million a year. Yeah, he's great. Listen, all joking aside, I did expect more from that team. I really did. I mean, especially getting, Jack Hughes coming in. They finally had, a center, because Pavel Zacha has not exactly been as advertised to them. I think he's good, but Nico Hischier has been as good as advertised, I think. Yeah. So they added Gusev in the offseason pretty ceremoniously. They added Wayne Simmons, who's not on the team anymore, who went to Buffalo for whatever reason. That don't make no sense to me. But I guess if you look at positives with that team, Jack Hughes is only going to get better.
Right. I mean, I feel like how often doesn't I don't even want to say rookie, just a freaking like an 18-year-old. Just look at it that way. How many 18-year-olds come in and dominate the league?
I think now the expectation is like way too high, especially for a number one center iceman, like that in the future at least. He's undersized. He's got to get used to the game. I mean, he's got the talent. The talent's there.
I mean, but it's like it's because when you have like a Connor McDavid come in through the draft, right, and then he dominated. But it's like how many we talked about him for
Jack
2 years.
Hughes is not in the same category.
But that's what he
got a lot of hype because he was an American.
Of course, but I think it's one of those where that Connor McDavid got the hype. Like, you knew this kid from all the junior hockey. You knew this kid was special.
Yeah.
But I mean, people need to realize that doesn't happen every year. And sure, it's nice that someone like Jack Hughes at least made the NHL team, and that's never even a given. No matter how hype, like if you're not good enough, there's so many options to send you somewhere. So
I also think with that too, is he played a lot of hockey up until then with with the World Juniors and things like that. So I think once he settles in, similar to Capo Caco, their sophomore season is going to be. I mean, they're going to be a little more comfortable, and like you said, the tools are there. And I don't know, but as far as the Devils go, I think Mackenzie Blackwood is actually looking like a decent goaltender. I mean,
Corey Schneider's clearly been done for 2 years, so anything,
Ticket taker Corey Schneider. Is he even on the roster at this point? I think he's down isn't he down in the AHL, or was at one point?
I mean, I'm sure they sent him down. They could waive him all day. No one's claiming him.
Yeah, no. But like I said, the Devils, I thought, were gonna be a better team. I mean, and then obviously big thing trading Taylor Hall, and getting a ton of picks and a ton of decent prospects. I know the big one they wanted was that Blake, I think his name is, the big defenseman, dominated the World Juniors.
But then
6'6", 6'7".
But then Ray Shero made the trade, then got fired. So it's kind of like, okay,
he Phil Jacksoned it.
Okay, I guess that's how we're doing this then.
But I think the Devils are in actually a decent place. They have the young centers, especially Hischier. Hischier's a really good player. They traded Miles Wood too, who actually was having a decent not Miles Wood, Coleman to Tampa Bay, having a 20-goal year. Obviously, maybe that's lightning in a bottle, just opportunity. But I don't want to spend too much time on the Devils. I'm going to go to the next team. The worst team.
Yeah, Detroit. So
Jesus,
they were bad. I mean, I think according to Detroit, I mean, I'll say this with Detroit. Clearly, the tanking's there because that team's needed to be blown up for a little while now. But they
held on to that playoff streak for so long, and they I think in 2014, 2015, nobody thought they'd get back, and then they got back, and then from there, it just kept going downhill from there.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, they're not good. I mean, what are the positives on this team are what? Dylan Larkin's probably your overall best player.
Right. I mean, Dylan Larkin is a cornerstone piece with them, and they actually do have a bit of young talent. I don't know their roster, not their roster, but their prospect pool as well as maybe I should. I know they have Philip Zadina, who's supposed to be very highly touted. But up on the roster now, they have guys like Anthony Mantha, who's a player. Bertuzzi, who's a player, and then on the back end they have Hronik, who I think is a pretty good player as well.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys that they need to just lose. Like Justin Abdelkader's still on this team. Like Victor
Valtteri Filppula is still on that team. Gagne is still on that team.
Guys like Franz Nielsen. Like
God.
There's no like at this point for a team that's so bad. Like what's the point? There's no point in like playing guys like that. Like I'm always the listen, if you're bad, just play your young guys because you know what you're getting in these 30-year-olds. Just might as well play your kids especially if you're bad. Like any experience is good experience. Like I don't believe in the. It's more of a football thing, but I don't believe in the you're going to ruin the kid if you just play him in tough spots. Like I don't believe in that so much. Like
they made moves at the deadline. They traded Athanasiou to the Edmonton Oilers, which I thought is a player, and I know me and Joey love Athanasiou. Very fast, good hands. Always scores on the Rangers for some reason. Wow. But I think the big glaring hole on Detroit by far is the goaltending.
Oh my God.
Bernier and Howard, it's not even a 1A, 1B at that point. It's like a 1C and 1D. I mean, Jimmy Howard has his moments. Yeah. But Bernier, I've never understood that. He never, ever, ever has played up to what people have told me he is. And I don't understand that.
It's like crazy. It's crazy because I know Jimmy Howard's not bad, but I feel like he was like hyped up all these years ago, and he's just never like for me, he's just never been that. Like I'm shocked. Like he's 36, still on this team. I'm like shocked he's been around this long because I was never that impressed with him.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
And can I just say, like I know he only started 27 games. I know Detroit was bad, but when your record's 2-23-2, that's so god awful. Like. That's not even like.
Well, I mean, he's got not a lot in front of him, but still, it's
like and he has a good career. Like goals again, like 2.62 is not awful, 912 save percentage. But you just feel like I don't know. He was just kind of there. I never felt like he was this superstar goalie ever for me.
No, I don't think anybody would say he's a superstar goalie, but I mean, he was definitely a starting goaltender,
right? But that's it for me. I mean. But yeah, Detroit's bad, and if you ask Detroit fans, they should just get the number one pick because they haven't. Well, we have not had a top pick in so long. Okay,
I do hope that like a Lafreniere or Byfield goes there. I really do. But the way the lottery is now is honestly, it's not even a guarantee. No. And I don't even think that team was like purposely tanking because they were just putting out who they had, and they were just that goddamn bad.
It was bad.
You know what I mean? It was bad.
Although
Although they did sweep 4 games of the Montreal Canadiens.
Which
4
is nice.
of their 17 wins have come from beating the Montreal Canadiens. That's a fact. So anybody who's listening in Quebec,
oops.
Let's move on now to Ottawa. Let's go to Ottawa now. Another team that missed it. A lot of people were kind of about this team, but this team, I kind of do like where this team's going. I think that they have a lot of decent pieces. I know there's issues with Melnick, the owner. A lot of people don't like that guy. I don't know enough about that to really harp because I'm not living up there. I'm not hearing it every day. Right. I do know they feel like he doesn't want to spend the money, but they've got a decent amount of draft picks coming back. And I mean, they have players like Brady Tkachuk is a stud. He's going to be a stud for, however many years. Duclair had a great year for them this year, and I was actually quite surprised with that. But
40 points, man. I mean,
he was a great goal scorer, man. He had a great year. I mean, that guy's been banged around so much, but I think he may have actually found a home now, and I hope he does.
I think they made smart moves because they got the Islanders to overpay for Pajot.
Pajot, yeah,
the classic Ranger killer. But they got the Islanders because I think they overpaid him with the contract extension. I thought the Islanders.
Well, that's Lou just saying this is the player I want. I'll do anything to get him. And listen, he was the number one center in a trade class that really wasn't that top heavy. And I mean, Chris Kreider, I guess you could have said was number one, but he didn't even want to get moved. So
right. I thought that was it. But I mean, they're decent moves. I mean, it's come a long way from them moving that number one pick a couple years ago, which it could have turned out worse last year if that number one pick was in that top 2. I think it ended up being 4th.
Well, the NHL was not going to allow that to happen. You know that. Come on.
Of course not. Of course not.
I will say moving forward, though, like I said, I'm not too in-depth with their prospect pool, but they do have a stud on their team in Tomas Chabot. Tomas Chabot is Probably one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. I mean, I think he led the league in average minutes. I could be wrong, but I mean, on a defense with guys like Ron Hainsey, I'm not entirely surprised, or Nikita Zaitsev, that he's leading the team in minutes. And he's still young. He's a great player, man. And I like the direction that this team is going. The problem is if if Melnick is actually going to start spending the money, because there's those teams that just stay like, oh, look, Brady Tkachuk's up for a contract. Well, we don't want to pay him. Let's get him out of town.
Which is it's silly. But I mean, listen, I mean, who knows? I mean, the players are there. Clearly, there's work to be done. But I mean, they were worse last year for sure. I mean, 62 points in 71 games this year. So, I mean, you might have, you still finished 9 points out from this, modified 2014 playoff.
They were a danger. I don't want to say dangerous, but they were. I mean, they gave the Rangers a couple of good games. I think they blew the Rangers out like 6-1 or 6-4.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, that shit was happening all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
saving the best for last, though. The East Coast is the worst.
Yeah, there's like thoughts. Just so, all right, the Buffalo Sabres are out. They're one of the teams that maybe you could have argued.
At what point do these guys, they fucking figure it out? Like, the talent is there. It's there.
I think their GM's god awful. I think
I feel bad for that fan base up there.
I think they keep losing, man. You're going to risk Eichel leaving because he's already stated publicly he's tired of the losing. And I think just some of these guys who you signed, like guys like Jeff Skinner, had that one good year. But
Jeff Skinner, although he did have that 1 year, he's still been a productive player.
No, that's for sure. But a lot of these other guys that they've drafted,
he got what,
somehow,
eight a year, $8 million.
Yeah, he got a lot. But I mean, even guys like Sam Reinhart, like he's not a bad player, but if you're
never panned out to what he was supposed to be.
I mean, he's 50-point scorer this year. Like, it's there, but from your number one center, you need better than 22 and 28 from a number two center at this point.
And then at the deadline, they traded for friggin' Wayne Simmons, and I don't understand.
I
don't understand that.
Again, I don't know. And they really don't have a good defense. Aside from
Rasmus Dahlin is the real deal.
That's what I mean. Like he is good. I mean, put up.
Ristolainen is pretty solid too. But like guys like Jake McCabe's never been that number one defenseman like he's supposed to be. And then you have what was the deal with Bogosian all year, just pissing and moaning, trying to get out of there.
Yeah, so and they've just had guys that didn't work out. Like they had Ryan O'Reilly, he wasn't good there, and then look what happens. They move him, and then he's a key part on a Stanley Cup winning team.
It seems like they tend to like double down on like the guys that don't necessarily work out. I mean, look at Zemgus Girgensons. I mean, like had one all-star year, quote unquote, and then
that was the classic. Let's stuff the ballot box.
But then they have guys like Curtis Lazar. Curtis Lazar's never panned out. I mean, Kyle Okposo has gone progressively downhill.
Yeah, Sam
Reinhart's never panned out. Jeff Skinner went downhill. Jimmy Vesey, same thing, like never lived up to what he was supposed to be. I do like Tage Thompson. I think he's a good young player. And then they found lightning in a bottle with Victor Olofsson, but he scored, I want to say like 3/4 of his goals on the power play, if not most of them.
Right. Which you can't rely on that to just always be your go-to.
And I think once again, you like the same thing with Detroit. The goaltending is god awful.
Yeah, Carter Hutton and Linus Ullmark.
It feels like they've been waiting for Ullmark to be
it's not
the number one guy, and it just
but you say that's another one. They traded a first. I mean, the year they had 3 first-round picks, they traded one of their late firsts for Robin Lehner, and he just didn't work out there. And then again, he leaves, and he has a great year with the Islanders, and he turns it into a decent contract with Chicago.
Now he's on Vegas.
That's right, because he got traded again, and then he ends up –
And Chicago was pissed because Crawford is kind of not – I mean, I don't think Crawford was ever special. I think he was good enough. But people were like, this guy can be a number one. Why are we letting him walk? And it just seems like the franchises, like the Senators, like the Sabres, like – it just feels like it's just like this perpetual wheel of mediocrity. And you're like, when does it end? And then you get a guy like Jack Eichel, who is a generational talent, a stud. and he just peters out.
You're if he leaves, because like that was the big thing, man. That was the McDavid year.
Yeah,
and you wanted,
but they'd still be in the same place even if they had McDavid.
I agree, and but look at I mean not to make it about that, but like the Oilers haven't been anything special with him either. I mean,
he's dragged them, carried them, but they also have Draisaitl. Don't forget
exactly. So they at least have another like stud on that team. But I mean, again, I don't want to make it about comparing the two of them, but I mean, right? The Buffalo would be in the same spot if they had McDavid. They would just maybe have a little more like height. I don't know.
Yeah, listen. You could drive yourself, and I'm sure you know because you used to live up there. You can drive yourself crazy talking about why Buffalo sports aren't turning corners. I guess
right, exactly. There's a lot. I don't know, but
speaking of turning corners, let's go to the West Coast.
Yeah. So pretty funny.
Who do you want to start
with? Pretty funny that the California teams are the ones that all missed out.
You know, I didn't even notice that until you just said that. That's actually
Anaheim, the Kings, and the Sharks.
Snoop Dogg is really
pissed. Funny. I think that's really funny.
Snoop Dogg is not happy.
I mean, I guess let's start. I mean, the Sharks were in last.
All right, let's go with that.
Not by a lot. I mean, you figure,
that's literally a team that's just totally been. I mean,
like 1 point separates the Kings and the Sharks. But I mean, let's start with the Sharks. Yeah. I just think they're older. They don't. I mean, you just can't rely on. I think they're a team stuck in 2015.
It's very similar to the Red Wings, where they're like, they kind of. It's not similar. It's similar but different because the Red Wings kind of just kept pushing, and it feels like the Sharks kept trying to add pieces like Carlson to continue that. But I mean, I'm just going to start. I know I saved it for the end. Man, their goaltending is awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, Martin Jones sat behind a great defense and looked okay. This year, it's not good. And, I mean, you see what he is. And then they were even playing Aaron Dell. And Aaron Dell's not a starting goaltender.
No.
He's just not. He's not. So that is the case in point. I mean, Martin Jones was bad this year. Like, probably had one of the worst years in recent memory for a goaltender.
But it's just like you just have they just have a lot of older players that.
Yeah, Joe Thornton. That shit should have ended years ago.
Right. That's where I say and he's done. Like the guy's 41 at this point, or he'll be 41. Like it's got to be done. And it's just like, and then you look at like, okay, like you have Logan Couture, but he missed games with injuries. So when I suppose you want to call it your best player is. I mean,
and Logan Couture is not even young either.
No, he's 31.
They got rid of Pavelski, who I thought was like the wrong guy to get rid of. I mean,
right.
I don't know what Thornton's contract is off the top of my head, but I mean that they should have done everything in their power to move him to some. I don't know if he has a no move clause or whatever, but he's just hanging on, taking.
But you just look at their quote unquote like best players, and it's like, so okay, Brent Burns is 35, and we said Joe Thornton's 40, Logan Couture's in his 30s, Erik Karlsson's in his 30s.
Carlson, yeah, I mean it's just they're old, man. And then you look at their forwards, and I mean, who really scares you? I mean, Evander Kane's a great player. LeBanc has his moments. And Timo Meyer's a decent player, but
who else is there? Thomas Hertl? Not anymore. He's not seeing. I feel like for his rookie season, maybe he scared you a little bit, but not now.
Yeah.
He only 36 points in 48 games. That's not exactly for a guy who's probably a second liner, or they wanted to be a second liner on that team. It's not what you want.
Yeah, no, I just for like I said, it just at what point do you just move on? You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you move on? You
have to blow it up. Like, and that's always my feeling as well. Is just I would rather blow a team up and be god awful than sit in the 8th.
And it's not like they're in a market like Montreal or Boston where they're like, well, we had to be good now. I mean, it's a smaller market. I know they have a devout following over there, but you got to move on because it's tough. I don't know. I'd rather see like what teams like what the Rangers did, because what the Rangers did, they're like, listen, we ain't competing. Everybody's gone. Yeah. And look, 2 years later, they're competing for a cup. I mean, granted, the situation is different, but they're under normal circumstances, they're about a year away.
But I would have argued this year with them that if you play out the last 10 games, you at least have a chance to jump into the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying.
They were heating
there. Yeah, right there. Let's go to the Kings now.
Yeah, let's go to the Kings. It's a lot of similarities.
Same
It's
thing.
just it's a lot of older players. Like you look at this roster, and like you still have guys like Dustin Brown and Jeff Carter, Anze Kopitar. All those guys from the 12 and 14 Cup teams are like those guys that are still here.
But at least with this team, they've been to the pinnacle and they've won and they've sold their future for cups. And I think you talk to any Kings fan or any hockey fan in general, they would say, I'm fine with that.
Right,
like,
of course.
Anze Kopitar is still a very good player, but I mean, Dustin Brown has been a fourth liner for how many years now?
Right.
And I can't even look at this forward list and tell you who I know they like that the Velarde kid is supposed to be something pretty good, but you know, when you have to throw guys in like your only prospects early, like sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes they don't get that development period that they want. And I don't know if that's the case. I really couldn't tell you because I didn't watch a lot of Kings games because really boring to watch. Really boring. Slow. They're so slow. And I mean, they still have Doughty on the back end. But outside of Drew Doughty, who on that defense
nobody.
Do you even recognize? I know Anderson is supposed to be a stud. He's a young kid from the US, but like on that back end, you're like, who do you even recognize? You don't. And Justin Quick's good. He's still good, but Justin Quick's not young. And they got rid of Campbell.
Right.
They traded him to Toronto, and
I think you need to start. You need Quick and just Jonathan Quick. Again, same thing. Like I think the goaltending you need to figure out your goaltending as well. Like you don't have this. All right, okay, sure. Jonathan Quick can move along, and now we got someone else in his place. It's not there yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. But at least the difference with this team is you can sit there and say, you know what, we're willing to do this because we've had this success. All these team like San Jose, they've been close, but they never got there, and they didn't realize until it was too late. Now they're like, well, shit, we just signed Erik Karlsson for X, Y, and Z, and Brett Burns is, you said 35. I mean, I don't even want to talk about the Kings that much more. Let's go to the Ducks.
Let's go to the Ducks. They just don't have. Well, they have Michael Del Zotto, but then after that, it's not much.
Stanley Cup winner, Michael Del Zotto. Don't you dare fuck that up.
It's just not. It's just not a lot. It's just not a lot of talent. I mean,
no.
And again, very easy to say not a lot of talent. Well, the team didn't make the playoffs. No shit. But it's just you have guys like Ryan Getzlaf, 35 years old, David Backes. How long's he been falling off since his big free agent contract?
They got him for, was it Heinonen in the trade for Boston? But I mean, look, guys, they have these middle of the road. The Ducks have always seemed to have these above average scorers like Ricard Raquel and Jakob Silfverberg. And they're good, but are they really going to take you over the top? Those types of guys, I don't think so. But I mean, they've got the Sam Still kid. I like Max Jones. I like a lot too. I think they're going in the right direction.
They're going in a better direction than.
What helps them is they have John Gibson. John Gibson is a stud. He's not too young, but I mean, he's 27.
He'll be 27.
He's right in his prime, which is good. Which allows you to kind of speed up that rebuild, not a rebuild, but it allows you to be a little more flexible in what you want to do.
Of course, but I mean that's the non-playoff teams. Let me end this and let the video go, and then I'll start.
We're gonna take a quick commercial break.
All right, we'll be right back.